Hi, everybody, and welcome to our week number 16 Twitch live stream. I know it's a slightly different day and time this week, but I did want to make sure that I had a chance to meet with all of you as we near the end of the semester. I see that there's a bunch of you in here with me. Thank you so much for being here. Can someone let me know, can you hear me and see me? Okay, I just want to make sure. Oh, and somebody said, I'm not registered in your class, but I had you over 2 years ago. I'm studying clinical psych at UCSD. Oh, that's super exciting. That's wonderful. I'm very excited for you. That's wonderful. Okay, great. A bunch of you can hear me. That's fantastic. Again, sorry for the disruption in our normal day and time. Wednesday was my twins' 10th birthday, and all they wanted in the world was to go to Universal. So, well, I won't say that's all they wanted, but that's what they wanted most of all. So I definitely was not super available at this time on Wednesday. So, but anyway, what I want to do is kind of go over a little bit of last week and then talk about what we have going on this week. Yeah, double digits, I know, right? I have two 10-year-olds and an 11-year-old, almost 12-year-old now, all girls. So hard to believe. They've gotten big on me. It's crazy. So we are right here, week number 16. We have this week and next week, and then our class is over. We are very close to the end of the semester at this point. So last week we had kind of a very typical week that we had a lecture and then we had a discussion. This week, same thing, right? So we have a lecture and a discussion and then the extra credit like always. And then next week is a slightly kind of different week. It's our final week of the class. I'll obviously be having a live stream next week where we'll go over all of this, but just kind of a little preview. We have the final exam, and I do, of course, have a study guide for that for you. The experimental proposal project is due next week. There's a little class closing survey. There's some questions and like the recording and extra credit. So next week when we meet one last time, I will go over all of that. But let's focus on week number 16 since that is where we are this week. And this week we're looking at chapter 4. And chapter 4 is all about ethical guidelines for psychology research. And this is a really interesting topic and something that, wasn't always present. We didn't always have ethical guidelines, and a lot of people were kind of mentally harmed or even physically harmed as a result of not having these very important protective measures. So as always, make sure that you read through the lecture, right? The objectives, the summary, and all of that on this page here. On the Beyond the Book page, I have a little bit about some other kind of famous unethical studies in psychology, the Stanford Prison Experiment, a little bit about Little Albert, and then there's also some stuff about learned helplessness. And then finally, on the last page, as always, you have the key terms in review, the things you need to know for the last exam related to this chapter. Don't forget to also read the book and then watch the lecture video where I'm lecturing to those PowerPoint slides. So kind of the usual stuff, as always, those 3 things to complete. You also have a discussion this week, as usual. As always, you have your instructions up here at the top and then my little video underneath it. With this one, what I want you to do is take what you've learned this week from chapter 4 and then read this little scenario and answer the following questions. So there's 2 scenarios here, and then for each of them, what are the ethical concerns for the study? Be specific, referencing the specific concepts from chapter 4 in order to earn full credit. And then what questions might an international review board or an IRB ask about the research study? So you're taking what you've learned in chapter 4 and applying it to these 2 short scenarios. You'll hit reply when you're ready, and then of course don't forget to reply to a classmate to get those last 2 points. I will give you another extra credit opportunity today with the Twitch live stream, and then you'll have one more next week. Those of you who've been doing this all semester, some of you have earned quite a few points from these, which is fantastic. Thank you so much to those of you who have joined me live or even watched this later as a recording. I've been happy to do it for this class all semester because so many people have utilized it. So thank you for that. And so again, that's our kind of our goal for this week. Read chapter 4, read the lecture, watch the lecture video, and then the discussion, all the usual stuff. And then there'll be a recording of this up in a little bit that I will post, and I'll give you the extra credit in a moment. I want to give you a couple of reminders, and then again, we'll go from there. So the first reminder is if you have a moment, almost everybody fell off again at this point. I know we're close to the end of the semester, but if you could double check your subscription status for one more time this week and one more time next week, I would appreciate that. And again, if you're watching this later, you can still get those extra credit points if you are subscribed on Twitch, so I can follow you. I am planning on doing a live stream next week, and it should be at our normal day and time, which will be on Wednesday, the 8th. So I will announce that. If I have to move it, I will, of course, let you know. But we will do one last live stream next week. And there's, as I mentioned, I mentioned this last week, I believe it was, or the week before. The final week is open for you. So if you have a lot of stuff coming up next week and you know it's going to be overwhelming, you are more than welcome to work ahead and finish up everything for the class. Now, again, I won't be focusing on next week until that last live stream. But exam number 4 is on here. There is a short cumulative component to it. So when you're looking at the study guide, what you'll notice is that it has everything since the last exam on APA formatting part 3, chapter 14 from last week, and then chapter 4 from this week. But there are a couple of cumulative things, right? And so everything in this class, in a sense, has kind of been cumulative in the sense that it builds on what came before. So make sure that you know and are comfortable answering questions about these topics, and that will make up that small cumulative portion of that exam. And again, just kind of by nature, everything is kind of that way anyway, but I wanted to give you a heads up just in case you didn't see that. The experimental proposal project is also due next week. Remember that you're turning in not only the paper, but a little flyer and a short video. And I gave you some sample papers and sample flyers just for a point of reference in case that was helpful for you. There's also a little anonymous class survey. So if you'd like to give me any feedback that is completely anonymous, you are welcome to do so. And then, of course, we'll have that one last extra credit meeting next week. So again, those are things for next week. We'll spend more time. I'll kind of go over all of the experimental proposal project stuff. I'll go over some of the samples and talk a little bit more about that and a little more about the final. But just in case you were ready to work ahead, I wanted to kind of mention those things briefly today. So let me give you the extra credit question that I wrote out, just so that you can answer that for those of you who are joining me here live. And there's a decent number of you. So this is the week number 16. I can't believe we're in week number 16, right? The beginning of the semester feels like such a long time ago, but it went by so quickly. So here's the extra credit question for this week. What are the APA's 5 general ethical principles? What are the APA's 5 general ethical principles? You can define and describe them. I'm going to put that here in the chat. And when you're ready to answer that question, you'll go to this week. So since we're in week 16, you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 16. And then up at the top, click on start assignment. And that brings up that little text box where you can type your response. And when you're ready, hit submit to get your confetti burst. And are those ninjas? I'm not even sure what those were. They looked like little ninjas. I don't know. My kids are obsessed with Ninjago, so I'm going to go with ninjas. That's my best guess anyway. So if you are joining me live or watching this later as a recording, you are more than welcome to go ahead and answer that for extra credit. Yeah, I love the confetti too. It's silly how rewarding the confetti is, and I'm always looking forward to whatever is going to be in the confetti. So anyway, what is the APA's 5 general ethical principles? Define, describe them. Get going on the materials for this week, which again is related to the ethical principles. If we scroll all the way back down here, we're in chapter 4, discussion 16. And then you have the extra credit from this week as well. And one last time, if you wanted to work ahead, feel free to go ahead and start on next week. Our class officially ends on Sunday, May 12th. But I do have that last week open for you if you are interested in working ahead. Otherwise, that's kind of it for today. Short and sweet, but I wanted to make sure I did touch base with all of you and give you a chance for those extra credit points as we near the end of the semester. I know stress is always a little high at this point in the semester. I almost said in the season, but semester. So anyway, what I will do is I'll hang out for a little while if you do have any questions for me. Otherwise, when we meet next week, I'll go over those last materials in a little bit more detail. and we'll go from there. Great, thank you for letting me know. And I'm going to minimize my video, but I will hang out for a little while if you have any questions for me. Otherwise, happy May. Have a wonderful week and hang in there as we near the end of the semester. I know it's a stressful time, so hang in there. And thank you so much for all of you who joined me today. I love it. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you too. I'm going to put thank you in the chat. I can't type and talk. Thank you. There we go. And again, everyone, have a wonderful week and hang in there. I know it's a challenging time, but we're almost there. It's almost summer, so hang in there. All right, got it. And I see you put your name in the chat. That's great. And if you scroll up in the chat, you can see the extra credit question for the week as well. I had to move it this week because it was my twin's birthday on Wednesday. So I'll send out an announcement about next week. It'll likely be on Wednesday like usual. Thank you so much. too. Thank you. See you next week.